حب الصحابة كلهم لي مذهب ومودة القربى بها أتوسل.
To his family and his companions. Usually when I go to a masjid or sometimes a center, or I give a talk in a university, I have like a script that I usually follow. And I usually kind of say something about how nice it is to be. But I think for Bukhari Center now, it should be like that. It's nice to be back home, because this is basically my second home. And it feels like home, wallahi. It doesn't feel like going to someone else's masjid where you're going and you say, you know, it's a pleasure to come here for the first time or the second time. Because really it feels like home, to be honest. And I was reflecting, subhanallah, this journey with Bukhari TV, Bukhari Center and Masjid that happened way, way back. I don't remember the year that we started. Coming to Ottawa, and I hadn't been to anywhere else in Canada. And the amazing, amazing hospitality, the amazing brothers, the amazing feel of community that has kept me coming back by the grace of Allah almost year after year. And today, alhamdulillah, I managed to go around a few different places. I've been over Edmonton, Calgary, I've been to Toronto, I've been to Windsor, I've been to Oshawa, I've been doing it all the way around Canada, Montreal. But ultimately, wallahi, like when you come here, it kind of feels like coming back home. So it's really a pleasure to be here. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to teach us what benefits us, to benefit us with what He teaches us. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase us in knowledge. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ability to implement what we know. What we came to talk about today really is such a fundamental topic. It's such a fundamental topic that Ibn al-Qayyim describes it as aslu da'il khalq, the fundamental sickness that affects all of creation. And it's amazing to think that there's so many ways a person can go astray in Islam. وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوهُ وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا السُّبُلَ فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ. And this is my straight path. So follow it and don't follow the other paths. They will lead you away from my path. The path of Allah is one. And the paths of misguidance are many. But all of these paths of misguidance fall under two things. There is no third one for them. All of them. All of these problems and all of these paths and all of the plots of the shaitan, everything comes back to two things. Ibn al-Qayyim said, هَذَا أَصْلُ دَاءِ الْخَلْقِ إِلَّا مَنْ عَفَاهُ اللَّهُ. This is the core reason that human beings go astray. And that is الشُّبُهَاتِ وَالشَّهَوَاتِ. That is the issue of shubuhat and shahawat. So let's start by just understanding these two issues, and then we get into a little bit of evidence and we get into the details of it, inshallah ta'ala. The word shubha never ceases to amaze me because it's such an accurate word. The word shubha, I don't even think there's a good translation in English. People say misconception, false ideas, misguidance, possibly. But really what the word shubha comes from is it comes from the sheen and the ba and the ha, which in Arabic is a shaba, resemblance. So why is it called resemblance? It has to be something that resembles the truth. So we don't call it, for example, al-batil, we don't call it a shubha. For example, somebody worships an idol that they made with their own hands, we don't call it a shubha. Because in reality, that's just batil. There's no resemblance to the haqq at all. But the things that come where a person is confused, where there's a grain of truth somewhere. Look at the difference between worshipping an idol and between the belief that the awliya in the graves can bring you near to Allah. What's the difference? I'm just feeling like asking you guys some questions. So tell me right now. Got two issues. Got somebody worships a statue that they made with their own hands, and another person, they believe that this dead, pious man in the grave is going to take their dua to Allah. Both of them commit shirk. What's the difference in terms of what we're talking about? One actually was close to Allah. So there's a grain of truth. There's an ocean of falsehood, but there's a grain of truth. The grain of truth is that person in the grave was righteous. And righteous people do have a status in the sight of Allah. Does that make sense? It's true. أَلَا إِنَّ أَوْلِيَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزَنُونَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. The awliya of Allah are close to Allah. Allah said, مَنْ عَادَ لِي وَلِيًّا فَقَدْ آذَنْتُهُ بِالْحَرْبِ. Whoever shows enmity to a wali of mine, I declare war on him. That's true. The awliya are close to Allah. That's true. Their dua is accepted. That's true. وَلَئِنْ سَأَلَنِي لَأُعْطِيَنَّ. If he asks me, I'm going to give him. It's true. But the idea you can worship them is completely and totally false. So shaitan uses the grain of truth to promote an ocean of falsehood. And that's really the essence of a shubha. There has to be confusion in it. There has to be something in it that a person is confused about. Not just al-batil, even though it can come into it. Yani generally speaking, you can include وَمَاذَا بَعْدَ الْحَقِّ إِلَّا الضَّلَالِ. You can put in everything that's false in there. But really what we're talking about is when a person is confused. There's an element of they're wrong, they're doing something wrong, but the core of why they're wrong is that they've got something mixed up inside. The second thing we're talking about are ash-shahawat. And those are the desires. And the desires really are a feature of our nafs. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, وَالنَّفْسُ تَتَمَنَّى وَتَشْتَهِي. The soul, it wants things and it craves for things. So the soul wants something and it craves for it. And the soul, if you don't purify it with Islam, what soul do you have? إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ. The soul is constantly inclined towards evil. And that is if the soul is not corrected and purified by Islam, then the reality is that that soul is going to send a person astray. Wallahi, there's something Ibn al-Qayyim said that is absolutely shocking. It really just hit me what he said. Rahimahullah ta'ala, about the soul. Every soul, every single soul has inherent evil in it. And it could be said that the reason for this evil, or that the essence of this evil, is based in the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ فَأَبَيْنَ أَن يَحْمِلْنَهَا وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا. We offered the responsibility of Islam to the heavens and the earth and the mountains. And they declined it. They were fearful of it. And mankind took it. He was extremely oppressive and extremely ignorant. He was in a state of extreme oppression and extreme ignorance. That's the nature in reality of what the soul will be without the purification of Islam. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he has a statement where he talks about the soul. And from what he says in it is that the soul, every soul has in it the arrogance of Fir'aun. Every soul has in it the way that Haman, the desire for power, the way that Qarun coveted wealth. Every soul has the ability to be like that. Every soul, not even that, every soul has the characteristics of the predatory animals. Yani the hujum, the way that the lion, bounces on its prey. The way that, for example, the leopard stalks and plots. Every soul has that in it. Every soul even has in it the way of even the cattle, like the way of the animals. So when you see this and when you think about it, you really, really makes you think, it makes you reflect upon the fact that your soul has the ability to desire things that are far, far from what is good. It has the ability to go far away from what is good for it. And so if we now want to save our soul from that, so we have to deal with these two issues that Ibn al-Qayyim speaks about, rahimahullah ta'ala. I just think it's amazing for a person to think of the fact that their soul has the potential for that. The potential for that predatory nature, even the potential for that, the sins of the cattle, like you mentioned, zina, and like the behavior of the animals. Every soul has that evil in them until you purify it with Islam. Or until you continuously purify it with Islam. So this kind of sets the scene for the issue that we are dealing with today, which is the issue of shubuhat, shahawat. Confusion, misconceptions, false ideas, and desires that come together. And particularly, we're going to relate this to living in the West. How people try to redefine your religion for you. I just want to start with a statement of Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, which I thought was very relevant for our discussion today. He said, rahimahullah ta'ala, al-fitnatu naw'ani, fitnatu shubuhat, wa hiya a'zamu al-fitnatayni, wa fitnatu shahawat. وقد يجتمعان للعبد وقد ينفرد بإحداهما. He said there are two types of trial that a person goes through. A trial of desires. The first one is a trial of confusion, the trial of misconceptions. And it is the greatest of the two trials. And a trial of desires. And here's a benefit I really want you to think about. قَدْ يَجْتَمِعَانِ لِلْعَبْدِ. They might come together for a person. And I would argue that the worst problem you can get yourself into is when the two of them come together rather than just one of them. So in the first one, the person is confused. They're mixed up. They've got the wrong idea. In the second one, the person is craving something. But it's even worse if you crave something that you have a wrong idea for. So the wrong idea justifies a little bit what you're doing, and the nafs craves it. So you have both of them come together. Some people just have one issue. Other people have the other one. But a lot of times it comes to both. And here he said ففتنة الشبهات من ضعف البصيرة وقلة العلم لا سيما إذا اقترن بذلك فساد القصد وحصول الهوى فهنالك الفتنة العظمى والمصيبة الكبرى فهو من الذين قال الله تعالى فيهم يتبعون إلا الظن وما تهوى الأنفس. Look at istidlal, wallahi istidlal ajib. How Ibn al-Qayyim took this from the ayah. He said the fitna of shubuhat, it comes from a weakness of insight and knowledge. And if this comes together with bad intention and desires, this is the biggest problem. This is al-fitnatul kubra. This is al-fitnatul uzma wal-musibatul kubra. When you have these two problems come together. So the person has a wrong idea, and then they have a wrong intention and a wrong desire, and they all line up together, and the evidence is يَتَّبِعُونَ إِلَّا الظَّنَّ وَمَا تَهْوَى الْأَنفُسِ. They follow nothing but الظَّنّ. Dhann here is the false opinion, the guessing, and what their souls desire. Put them both together. And that's why it's interesting, you hear Ibn al-Qayyim say that the greatest fitna is the confusion, right? The confusion, the misconceptions. This is the big problem. But the confusion and misconceptions is associated with the Christians, right? Typically. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Guide us to the straight path. The path of those you bestowed your favor upon. Who are they? النبيين الصديقين والشهداء والصالحين. Prophets, the truthful in faith, martyrs, the righteous. And then Allah warned us against al-maghdubi alayhim, and they are al-Yahud, and al-Dallin, and they are al-Nasara. Now a person comes and says, but Ibn al-Qayyim says the greatest fitna is the one of being from al-Dallin, and the one which is shubuhat. But we know the enmity of the Yahud towards the Muslims is much greater than the enmity of the Christians, and the Christians come towards the truth many times and they have a softness in their heart. The reality is two things. Sometimes if a person has a shubha along with a genuine desire for the truth, many times that person accepts the truth when knowledge is presented. So yes, they have a shubha, they're confused, but they have a somewhat of a desire for the truth. That person, their desire for the truth means that when the truth is presented to them, sometimes they accept it. But when you have desires and shubuhat together, which is really the problem of the Yahud, it's not just desires. It's corrupt intention. It is also false ideas. And those false ideas don't have to be any. For example, the false idea that we are the chosen people of Allah. So when you believe you're the chosen people of Allah, and then you want to be the chosen people of Allah, now here's the problem. This is when you corrupt the whole earth. Does that make sense? You now corrupt the whole earth. Why? Because you're confused into thinking you truly believe you're the chosen people of Allah. نَحْنُ أَبَنَاءُ اللَّهِ وَأَحِبَّاؤُهُ. We are Allah's children, Allah's beloved. Allah loves us more than anyone. That's the confusion. And where's the grain of truth? Where's the grain of truth? Who's going to give me? Where's the grain of truth? The Yahud say we are Allah's chosen people and Allah loves us. Prophets they were from the people that were chosen by Allah. Ya Bani Israel, O children of Israel, Udhkuru ni'mat Allah. Remember the blessings of Allah. Now what was the blessings upon them? The blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preferred them over all of mankind at their time. So now they have a grain of truth in there, which is that at one point in time, you were Allah's chosen people. When you believed in Musa and you followed him, you are Allah's chosen people. Allah preferred you over all the people, over every single human being. Allah preferred you. The confusion is you believe that you are Allah's chosen people forever, no matter what you do. How much you disbelieve, how much you kill and slaughter, and how much evil you do, you're still Allah's chosen people. That's the confusion. And then the desire is you want to be. You want to actually oppress, and you have that oppression and tyranny and evil in your heart that you want to follow. So together comes shubuhat and shahawat, and that is al-musibatul kubra. That's the big problem. That's the calamity that happens. So bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, from here we understood. And Ibn al-Qayyim summarizes it. I really like the way he summarized it. He said, وَأَصْلُ كُلِّ فِتْنَةٍ إِنَّمَا هُوَ مِن تَقْدِيمِ الرَّأْيِ عَلَى الشَّرْعِ وَالْهَوَى عَلَى الْعَقْلِ. He said the core of every trial is preferring your view over the Sharia and preferring your desires over your intellect. Very profound what he said here. You could spend a whole night on that point. But it's really intelligent. So what really is the issue of the shubha? It's taqdeem al-ra'i ala shar. The issue with the shubha is that you came to your view or someone else's view or the view that you heard or what someone told you online or what an influencer said, and you preferred it over qala Allah wa qala Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You put it above the Quran and the Sunnah. And that's why you got into shubha. The shubha came from someone's opinion getting put ahead of what Allah said. And the shahwa came from taqdeemul hawa ala al-aql. Why taqdeemul hawa ala al-aql? Why are you preferring your desires over your intellect? Your mind is telling you there's Jahannam, there's punishment, there's the curse of Allah, Allah is watching me, the angels are writing down what I'm saying, and your heart or whatever it might be, part of the body is telling you, go for it, go for it, go for it. And your mind is saying, this is not good, it's going to lead to my destruction, Allah is going to punish me, the angels are writing, Allah sees what I do, Allah has infinite punishment, Allah punished the previous nations, and your heart is telling you, go for it, go for it, go on, one time you'll make tawbah. So when you take that desire and you say, you know what it is, leave the logic aside that's telling me that this is bad, my mind which is telling me this is bad and this has got bad consequences and this is not going to lead me anywhere good, and you put that desire ahead of it. And that's what we call shahwa. Heart over mind, if you call it like that. And it's not only the heart, but desires over the mind. You knew it's wrong, you knew it's bad, you knew it's harmful, but you did it anyway. When they come together, that's the worst possible situation. So someone else's view is getting put ahead of what Allah said, and your desires are getting put ahead of what your mind is telling you is sensible. And this is the ultimate musibah, why people go astray. There's a statement of Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, in which he brings the overall solution to this. He brings the overall solution to this back to the issue of knowledge. Brings it back to the issue of knowledge. And I think that actually is something which is very, very important for us to understand. That to begin with, let's start with a simple solution. Let's start with knowledge. how can knowledge solve the problem of shubuhat and shahawat? Confusion, lacking meaning, people trying to redefine your religion for you. How does knowledge solve that problem? So when it comes to the shubuhat, this is actually reasonably see where the solution for knowledge is. It's reasonably easy to see where the solution of knowledge comes in. So Ibn al-Qayyim, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, ولكن أكثر الناس غلط في تحصيل هذا المطلوب نافع إما في عدم تصوره ومعرفته وإما في عدم معرفة الطريق الموصلة إليه. Break this down. And it said فهذان غلطان سببهما الجهل ويتخلص منها بالعلم. So this first part is relatively easy. He's talking about people who fail to succeed. Okay? People who fail in this life, fail in their objectives to succeed. And that is either because they don't know what success looks like, or they don't know how to get there. So one group of people, they don't know what success looks like. And this particularly, if you look at agnostics and atheists, they don't know, they don't even have a vision of what success looks like. Like if you say to them, what is your purpose in life? Why are you here? What do you want? What's your objective? They don't have a reasonable idea of what success looks like. And the second one is the one who knows what they want. Like, I want Jannah, but I don't know how to get there. Like, I don't really know what I need to do to get there. These two, the solution for them is knowledge. The reason for them is ignorance, and the solution for them is knowledge. So with the right knowledge, a person can get rid of these things. And we're going to go into detail on that knowledge, inshallah. But I wanted to start with the idea that knowledge doesn't just benefit you in resisting shubuhat. Rather, knowledge benefits you in resisting shahawat. And there's a very, very clear ayah in the Quran which actually proves to us that this is the case. In Surah An-Nisa, in ayah number 17, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّمَا التَّوْبَةُ عَلَى اللَّهِ لِلَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ السُّوءَ بِجَهَالَةٍ ثُمَّ يَتُوبُونَ مِنْ قَرِيبٍ فَأُولَٰئِكَ يَتُوبُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا. The tawbah in the sight of Allah is for those people who do evil out of ignorance. More than one of the Sahaba, the scholars of Islam, they said everyone who disobeys Allah has ignorance. So doesn't that show you that ignorance is a problem for desire, just like it's a problem for confusion? So this issue of confusion and desire, both of them have a cure in knowledge. It's not just that knowledge. Sometimes people say that the cure for misconception is knowledge, and the cure for desire is taqwa or thabat, being firm on the religion, istiqama. But the reality is both of them are rooted in knowledge. Both of them are rooted in knowledge. So if we look at this ayah is such a clear proof that when you sin out of desire, the problem is the reason you sinned was a lack of knowledge. But someone says, but hold on a second, al-maghdubi alayhim, they know it's wrong. That's not the meaning of jahala here. That's not the tafsir of the ayah, where the people said jahala in the ayah means I didn't know it was haram. That's not the meaning of the ayah at all. The meaning of the ayah here is the person was ignorant of Allah's rights. The person was ignorant of what Allah deserves. The person was ignorant of what will happen to them in Jannah, in Jahannam, the punishments, the rewards. The person didn't give it its right. That's the ignorance here. It's not the ignorance that I didn't know it was haram. The ignorance here is not knowing that it's haram. It's the ignorance of the whole picture, not remembering at the time you do that sin that there's a fire waiting. not remembering that Allah is watching you, not really truly being aware of the status of Allah and what Allah deserves. That's why the Salaf, they said, everyone who disobeys Allah does it because of ignorance. So let's return back to the statement of Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala. So he said, we've got one problem. That problem is either you don't know what you're doing, or either you don't know how to get there. And the solution for that is knowledge. That's wadih, clear, okay? I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know how to get there. I need knowledge, okay. So I don't know there's a Jannah, I don't know Jannah's my objective, I'm wandering around on this earth, or I don't know, I know it's my objective, I just don't know how to get it. The second problem is the person knows what they need and they know how to get it. But لكن في قلبه إرادات وشهوات تحول بينه وبين قصد هذا المطلوب النافع وسلوك طريقه. What happened? In the person's heart, there are desires and whims and craving in the heart, and that craving gets in the way of taking the path to Jannah. You know what the path is. I know I want Jannah, and I know the path to Jannah, but I really like that other stuff. I know Jannah and I want it, but it's like really tempting. This person knows what they want and they know how to get there. The problem is their desires are pulling them back. Ibn al-Qayyim said something here, I mention it so many times because wallahi al-azim, it is fath min Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's literally Allah opened his heart to see this. That the solution to this is also rooted in knowledge. He said, وَهُوَ لَا يُمْكِنُهُ تَرْكُهَا وَتَقْدِيمُ هَذَا الْمَطْلُوبِ عَلَيْهَا إِلَّا بِأَحَدِ أَمْرَيْنِ إِمَّا حُبٌّ مُتَعَلِّقٌ وَإِمَّا فَرَقٌ مُزْعِجٌ. Either this person has to have a love that is transcending that desire, or a fear that is making him scared of that desire. So here's a desire and a person. We've got a person, we've got a desire. The only thing that can stop that desire from pulling him back is either he's got so much love of Allah and the Akhirah and Jannah and so much desire for it that that desire overpowers his desire for that. Or he's got so much fear that his fear stops him from doing it. فيكون الله ورسوله ودار الآخرة والجنة ونعيمها أحب إليه من هذه الشهوات ويعلم أنه لا يمكنه الجمع بينهما فيؤثر أعلى المحبوبين على أدناهما. So either he loves Allah, he loves the Rasul صلى الله عليه وسلم, he loves Jannah, he loves the blessings of Jannah so much, and he knows he can't have both. He knows he can't have zina and Jannah. So he says, I love that, but I love that more. So he prefers Jannah over that desire. Or أن يحصل له علم ما يترتب على إيثار هذه الشهوات من المخاوف والآلام التي ألمها أشد من ألم فوات هذه الشهوات وأبقى. He knows the pain and the suffering that is coming. And he knows it's much worse than missing out on that thing he wants to do. So he says, I feel I don't want to miss out. But that is much worse than that. So he prefers saving himself from the fire over the desire that he wants to do. And then he said, فَإِذَا تَمَكَّنَ مِنْ قَلْبِهِ هَذَانِ الْعِلْمَانِ أَنْتَجَ لَهُ إيثار ما ينبغي إيثاره وتقديمه على ما سواه. In his heart, if he can get these two types of knowledge, he's gonna be able to overcome that desire. He needs to have knowledge about Allah, about Jannah, about the rewards. He needs to have knowledge about sin, about Jahannam, about the punishments. And if he can get that, the more of it he gets, the more he's going to be able to overcome that feeling. Because ultimately, you've got two things you love. You can't have them both. You choose the one you love the most. And you've got two things you're scared of, and you can't escape from them both. You escape from the one that is the worst. And that shows you that it's not the end of the story. We're not at the end. We're just at the beginning. But just to see, brothers and sisters, the value of knowledge. The value of knowledge. Knowledge doesn't just answer shubuhat. Knowledge answers the whole problem from beginning to end. But there's a shart. Because if we go back to al-maghdubi alayhim, we define the problem as knowledge without action. So the shart to make knowledge valuable and to make knowledge the thing that saves you is only one thing, and it's easy to say and super hard to do. All you have to do is act upon it. And that's why, honestly, as-sirat al-mustaqim, in summary, is al-ilm al-nafi' wal-amal al-salih. Beneficial knowledge and righteous actions. If you can get that knowledge solid, good, and then you can act upon it, you not just be saved from desires, be saved from confusion, be saved from cravings, addictions, all of that. But you need knowledge that comes together with practice. And if we want to link that to Surah Al-Fatiha going upwards, we also see that we need the help of Allah. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. You alone we worship, you alone we ask for help. So without the help of Allah Azza wa Jal, we can't achieve that. Okay, let's now then prove this from another angle. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what was he sent for? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيد. He's the one who sent his messenger with guidance and the religion of truth to make it superior over all other religions, and Allah is in the place. What does it mean, guidance and religion of truth? It means beneficial knowledge. That's the guidance. Beneficial knowledge is the guidance. And righteous action is the religion of truth. So now together we understood that we now need to get solid, good knowledge, and we need to get righteous actions. Beneficial knowledge, and we need to get righteous actions. See if one of the books can look at. All the technician while we carry on. Okay with it, but it's like Paul, one of the brothers who's never mind. Maybe needs more battery power. Fine. I now want to talk about a methodology. I want to talk about a methodology for overcoming confusion. Because I think this affects a lot of us in the West. If you look at living in the West, because we're talking about living in the West, right? Living in the West really comes as a problem because of these two things. It causes us a problem because of these two things. Because the desires are a lot. There's a lot of fitna, a lot of temptation. And on top of that, there's also what? There's a lot of temptation and there's a lot of confusion. And we said the worst problem happens when temptation and confusion come together. When temptation comes together with confusion, we have all kinds of problems in our life. So here, living in the West, we have a lot of temptation and a lot of confusion. So now what I want us to think about is this. What is the methodology for overcoming? What's the issue for overcoming confusion? there's a beautiful methodology that I think is the absolutely best way of dealing with this. The first part of it is this. We need to have enough general knowledge about Islam to be able to fend off this confusion in the beginning. Okay? So I'm talking about how to deal with confusion. So what you have to have is you have to have enough knowledge and enough certainty in the truth of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that you have an initial response to the problem. At this point, you may not know the detailed answer to the problem. You might not know all the answer, you might not know the ayat, the ahadith, but you just start from a very simple principle. You just have to know that what you're being told is wrong. You don't need to know how. You just need to know the idea that it's wrong. And this is the first step, responding to confusion. This requires you to have a general overview of your religion. And it requires certain fundamental principles. From the fundamental principles that you need to have, number one is you need to understand the Quran and the Sunnah are taken as a whole. Before that, let's take number one. We'll go number one, number two. Number one, you understand that the Sharia came from Allah Azza wa Jal and that it is suited for every time. That's point better to me. You know that this Quran is the truth from Allah and the Sunnah is the truth from Allah, and you know it is suited to every time and every place. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna anzalna ilayka al-kitaba bil-haq. We sent you the book with truth. And Allah said, وَإِنَّهُ لَكِتَابٌ عَزِيزٌ لَا يَأْتِيهِ الْبَاطِلُ مِنْ بَيْنِ يَدَيْهِ وَلَا مِنْ خَلْفِهِ تَنزِيلٌ مِنْ حَكِيمٍ حَمِيدٍ. This Quran is Kitabun Aziz. It is a Quran which you cannot find the likes of it. There is no falsehood comes from before it or after it. It was sent down from the one who is Hakimun Hamid. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. Today I completed your religion for you and completed my favor upon you and chose for you Islam as your religion. So just I want you to understand this first point, that Islam is perfect, that the Quran is suited to every place and every time. أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ وَهُوَ اللَّطِيفُ الْخَبِيرُ. Doesn't the one who created you know? Isn't it true that the one who created you is the one who knows best? He is a Latif. So I start with just a belief that I know the Quran and Sunnah is suited to every place and every time. I know everything in it is right. Everything in it is perfect. Everything in it came from Allah. وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. He doesn't speak from his desires. It is only a revelation that is revealed. So once you understand this, the first thing you feel melt away is resistance to what you find in Islam and a desire to enter into Islam completely. يا أيها الذين آمنوا ادخلوا في السلم كافة ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو. O you who believe, enter into Islam completely and don't follow the footsteps of the shaitan. He is a manifest enemy to you. So from this, what did we take? Islam is perfect. Islam is suited for every place and every time. Allah knows what is best for you. I'm going to add something to that on the same point. Does Allah benefit from your obedience? He doesn't, right? Does Allah be harmed by your disobedience? He doesn't. Then why does Allah legislate things to be haram? Why make something haram? If Allah doesn't benefit from it and Allah is not harmed by it, why make anything haram? For our benefit. Our benefit. So now when someone comes and tells you, for example, something regarding riba, regarding the hijab, regarding whatever it is that they're trying to peddle to you, ultimately the first thing is you know that this religion is suited for every time and every place. So that's going to get rid of the problem for you. That's going to get rid of the problem for you of you thinking that something that is there in the religion, you can't practice it, or it's too hard, or it's not right for me. Everything in the religion is suited for you. It's suited for your life today, here, in the West, in Canada, in Ottawa. It is suited for you right here, this religion in full. Everything you need is there. And you know that Allah chose for you what is best for you. Know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose for you the absolute best thing for you. Wallahi, when you know that, subhanallah, the first layer of these doubts melts away. Step number 2. Step number 2 is to realize the Sharia does not contradict itself. Neither does an ayah contradict another ayah, nor does an authentic sunnah contradict an ayah, nor does anything in the authentic sunnah contradict anything else in the authentic sunnah. So Ikhwani, I'm going to recap on this. The way to resist shubuhat. Step number 1, what did we say? Recap step number 1. Realize that everything in this Quran is true. It came from Allah, Al-Latif Al-Khabir. It is what is best for you. And it is suitable for every place and every time. We gave some of the proofs for it, including the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ بِالْحَقِّ فَاعْبُدِ اللَّهَ مُخْلِصًا لَهُ. We sent down to you the book in truth, meaning everything in it is true. So worship Allah, making the religion for Him alone. And the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, وَإِنَّهُ لَكِتَابٌ عَزِيزٌ لَا يَأْتِيهِ الْبَاطِلُ مِنْ بَيْنِ يَدَيْهِ وَلَا مِنْ خَلْفِهِ تَنْزِيلٌ مِنْ حَكِيمٍ حَمِيدٍ. This book is a book that is impossible to find the likes of it. No falsehood comes from before it or after it. It was sent down from Hakim, one who is Al-Hakim Al-Hamid. And we said, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. Today, I've completed my religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and chosen for you Islam as your religion. Imam Malik said, فَمَا لَمْ يَكُنْ يَوْمَئِذٍ دِينًا لَا يَكُنْ. Whatever was not a religion on that day is not part of the religion today. طيب. أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقْ وَهُوَ اللَّطِيفُ الْخَبِيرُ. Doesn't the one who created you know best? Doesn't the one who created you know best? This realization takes you to level 1 now. Now you realize this religion is perfect. You realize it's suited for every place and time. And you realize that it's for your benefit. My brothers and sisters, the haram in this religion is haram for your benefit. We go again to the second point. That the Sharia does not contradict itself. Okay? There is no way you can have a contradiction. وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. If it was from other than Allah, you find a lot of ikhtilaf in it. Does that now make sense? Sharia doesn't contradict. So now when you're presented with something that doesn't fit that picture, already you know that it's wrong. Someone says to you, Islam doesn't work today, sister. You can't live in something that was 1400 years ago. We need a new Islam for Canada in 2026. We say, no, we don't. الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ. Today your religion is complete. And there's no way there can be another ayah to change that, because the Quran doesn't contradict. So we don't need a new Islam. We don't need a new way of thinking of Islam. Islam is suited for every place and every time. And that's why Allah commanded us, فَاسْتَمْسِكْ بِالَّذِي أُوحِيَ إِلَيْكَ إِنَّكَ عَلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. Hold fast to what was revealed to you. You are on a straight path. The Prophet ﷺ didn't leave anything. He said, مَا مِن نَبِيٍّ بَعَثَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَّا كَانَ حَقًّا عَلَيْهِ أَنْ يَدُلَّ أُمَّتَهُ عَلَى خَيْرِ مَا يَعْلَمُهُ لَهُمْ وَأَنْ يُحَذِّرَهُمْ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا يَعْلَمُهُ لَهُمْ. There is no prophet Allah sent except it was a right upon him to warn his ummah, or first of all to teach his ummah everything he knows to be good, and warn his ummah against everything he knows to be bad. Allah is the one who knows everything in the future. This religion is perfect. It doesn't need to be redefined. It doesn't need to be rewritten. It doesn't need a new version 2.0. It doesn't need that. This religion just needs to be understood properly. I want to give you an example. I want to explain something as an example of how the Sharia just needs to be understood properly. In the hadith of the Dajjal, the hadith of Nawas ibn Sam'an, radiyallahu anhu, they asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, مَا لُبْثُهُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. How long will Dajjal stay on the earth? قَالَ أَرْبَعُونَ يَوْمًا يوم كسنة ويوم كشهر ويوم كجمعة وسائر أيامه كأيامكم. Prophet ﷺ said, Dajjal is going to stay for 40 days. One day will be like a year. One day will be like a month. One day will be like a week. And the rest of the days will be normal. So if you work it out, that's 37 normal days. Plus 1 month, 29 or 30 days, plus 1 week, it's another 7 days, plus a full year. The Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, look at the question they asked. Ya Rasulullah, هذا اليوم الذي كسنا أتكفينا فيه صلاة يوم وليلة. O Messenger of Allah, when the Dajjal is here and 1 day is a year long, do we pray 5 prayers or do we pray more? The Prophet ﷺ said, لا أقدروا له قدره. Measure it up. And it's estimated. Now if somebody goes right to the very north of Canada and they enter an area where the prayer times, you can't see the prayer times. You can't see the Fajr, the Isha, and the times become, because you come so far north that you have like basically 6 months of darkness and 6 months of light. Come right to the very north. Or you have similar, some place less north than that, you have less, but you have like a problem. Already there's a solution Islam gave to you. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Uqduru lahu qadra." If you ever doubt the prayer times, you have to estimate them for the time that is in 24 hours. Because that's what they said. They said, O Messenger of Allah, in the time when Dajjal is here for a year, but it's only 1 day, do we pray 5 prayers or do we estimate? No, you estimate it now. That every 24 hours you bring 5 prayers. This, I brought it to show you that Islam is suited for every place and every time. You just have to understand it. So it's not an issue that Islam doesn't have a solution for living in the north or living in the south or living in the cold or living in the heat, or doesn't have a solution when there's this problem or that problem. One of the strangest things is people say Islam doesn't have a solution when the Muslims are a minority. But what was 13 years in Mecca? What were the Muslims then? 13 years of prophethood in Mecca and the Muslims were a minority. So all the rules of living as an oppressed minority are already present in Islam from that time. Islam has everything you need. So when someone says we need to redefine Islam, we're going to say to them, الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. Nobody needs to redefine anything. Islam is perfect. What about if someone brings something and says, you see, Islam is oppressive because Islam allows ... slavery. For example, Islam allows slavery. How are we going to answer this? First of all, we're going to go through our two phases we did before. We're going to start with the idea this religion was sent down from Allah. Everything in it is for our benefit. It's perfect. It doesn't need anything extra or anything taken away. Then we're going to say, look, I don't know about the rulings of slavery. I'm not really sure what you're saying. I don't know the fiqh. I don't know the exceptions or conditions. But I know that Allah never oppresses anyone. وَمَا رَبُّكَ بِظَلَّامٍ لِلْعَبِيدِ. Allah never oppresses a human being, ever. So whatever rules exist in Islam, it is impossible that those rules are oppressive. It is impossible that Islam oppresses a Muslim woman. How can Islam oppress a Muslim woman? When Allah said, وَلَا يَظْلِمُ رَبُّكَ أَحَدًا. Your Lord does not oppress anybody. So is it possible then that Islam could oppress a Muslim woman or a human being in any way? It's not possible, right? Because Allah does not oppress anybody. But the problem is you don't know the specific details. No. Now for the specific details, step number 3, which is now I'm going to go and learn the specific answer to the question that you posed to me now. This shubha that you brought, this confusion, this misconception that you brought, now I'm going to get the specific answer to it for whatever it is. Could be that it's a weak view, could be it's not correct, could be abrogated, could be a weak hadith, could be correct but misunderstood. Whatever it is, I'm going to get the answer. I'm going to find the answer, no problem. But before I find the answer, I already know. From the beginning, Islam is perfect. Every situation, for every time. And I know the Quran and Sunnah doesn't contradict. So I know for certain. Allah does not oppress anybody. I know that what the person is saying to me is wrong. I just don't know the details of why. That answer will save you for a while, inshallah, but it will not save you forever. Because ultimately, the only way to get away from that shubha completely is to get specific, detailed knowledge to answer. But these guys are firing like bullets. They fire shubhat like any bullets from an automatic rifle. It's like you can't breathe, but like they're firing one after the other. So you can't go and run and get a research paper on every issue. You can't run and say, okay, I'm just writing. While I'm writing on this issue, I finished the issue of hijab, she started something else on the other side. Then before I've answered that, they've gone to something else. What's the reason for that? Because it's not a mujarrad shubha, it's desire. Desire. So the desire keeps them changing it. No problem. I know fundamentally what this religion is. Fundamentally, I know it's perfect. Fundamentally, I know it's suitable for where we are. And I know it doesn't contradict. And I know enough about it to have enough certainty for that. So I won't know the answer to everything you say. But I know enough to be able to resist it the first time and then get the information the second time. In getting the information, there are two things you have to think about. Before and after. Before, one of the greatest ways to be protected from confusion and people trying to rewrite your religion is really simply not to expose yourself to. One of the big problems we have is people expose themselves even deliberately. I'm not accidentally. Yes, accidentally people on YouTube come across, but people deliberately, I want to see what this person has to say. Let me put this YouTube video on to watch what they have to say. You don't know. The ulama, they used to say, "Ash-shubha khattafa." The shubha snatches you, kidnaps you. You can just be sitting, just watching nicely, a video about Islam, and suddenly Khattafa, it comes and it snatches you, it kidnaps you out. So be careful not to just cast a wide net. Don't just watch any content. Don't watch things out of interest to see what these people say. Yeah? And don't take answers from anyone. And this is the after, which is when you come to find that detailed answer. Don't just ask anyone, because someone might give you a half-baked answer. And when they give you a half-baked answer, what happens? It goes into your heart and you're like, man, Islam doesn't really have an answer to this. Because why? Because you got a half-baked answer. You got something that was cooked for half the time it needed to be. It's not fully made. It's not ready to eat. It's a bit of an answer, but it's not a proper answer that you need. So really, truly, I advise honestly, before, don't expose yourself. If it happens, you have that steps. You're going to get a detailed answer, but be careful where you get the answer from. Careful where you get the detailed answer from. So you make sure you get an answer that satisfies you and answers your question. And the best thing is, once you get a few of them, you actually realize there really is an answer for everything, and you really feel like confident in yourself. You feel confident in your heart because you know that there's an answer out there for everything. Because you've had it happen 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So you know now that I can just pull that answer out anytime I need. Now, when we talked about responding to these answers, we now want to talk about the other issues, which is the issues which fuel the desires. So first of all, definitely confusion can fuel your desire, because your soul is looking for an excuse. And this confusion gives you a little bit of excuse. I'll give you an example of riba. Someone says to you, it's okay to take riba in the West. It's a view of some of the scholars. You can take riba in the West. That's the confusion. What is in now happens is you already want a house. Who doesn't want a car? And so your desires run after that confusion. And when someone asks you, Akhi, you bought the house with a mortgage. You're like, don't say that to me. There's some ulama who said it. That's one of the biggest shubhat. That's the shubha of the West today. Some ulama said it. Some ulama said pretty much anything. You can get an opinion. If you go fatwa shopping, there's a lot of stuff for sale. There's a lot of opinions for everything. Those were not bad people, but it's just not every opinion is worth it. But here, how do we navigate this? Really simple. أقوال العلماء يحتج لها لا يحتج. In Islam, the statements of the scholars are not a proof. Whatever your scholar said, or my scholar said, or someone else's scholar said, is not a dalil in Islam. It requires proof. Scholars are respected. Scholars have views. Those views are based on evidences. Those evidences are what makes the view right or wrong. Not the fact that a scholar said it. My sheikh said to me it's halal. That's nice, but you gotta have a dalil. You gotta have evidence behind it. And we're gonna review, especially when it's not consensus. So it's my sheikh, your sheikh, his sheikh. It's all a few sheikhs involved here. So now what we have to do is we have to now say that if they're all against each other, it's purely now based on evidence. Because they don't agree. If they all agree, it's fine. They all said the same thing. All the good mashayikh said the same thing, or all of the people upon the truth said the same thing. It's different. But here we're talking about my sheikh said yes, your sheikh said no. Now it's just evidence. Sheikh versus sheikh is not an evidence. الاجتهاد لا ينقض بمثل. The qaida says people's opinions don't cancel each other out. You can't remove a person's opinion with someone else's opinion. Your opinion is wrong because my opinion is different. That doesn't work in Islam. You have to have evidence. So with this, a person goes after the desires. Inna nafsa ammaratun bisu. Soul is constantly there, craving evil. And on top of that comes the shaitan. What does the shaitan do? وَلَأُضِلَّنَّهُمْ وَلَأُمَنِّيَنَّهُمْ وَلَآمُرَنَّهُمْ فَلَيُبَتِّكُنَّ آذَانَ الْأَنْعَامِ وَلَآمُرَنَّهُمْ فَلَيُغَيِّرُنَّ خَلْقَ اللَّهِ وَمَنْ يَتَّخِذِ الشَّيْطَانَ وَلِيًّا مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ فَقَدْ خَسِرَ خُسْرَانًا مُبِينًا يَعِدُهُمْ وَيُمَنِّيهِمْ وَمَا يَعِدُهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ إِلَّا غُرُورًا. Shaitan says, as Allah tells us in the Quran, I'm going to misguide them. And I'm going to kindle their desires. Look at that. وَلَأُمَنِّيَنَّهُمْ. I'm going to basically light the fire for their desires. وَلَآمُرَنَّهُمْ. I'm going to command them to cut the cattle ears. That's a polytheistic belief where they used to cut the ears of the cattle. And I'm going to command them to change the creation of Allah. And that's why all of these shubuhat and shahawat in the West, typically, so many of them revolve around changing the in one way or another. Changing worshipping Allah alone, changing how Allah made you, changing what Allah gave you, and changing that to something else. This is a major aim of the shaitan. Look in the world we live in today. You just have to look left and right. You see so many examples. So many. You're going to change the creation of Allah. And whoever takes shaitan as their ally besides Allah has lost a great loss. He promises them false promises and he kindles in them desires and hopes, and the shaitan only promises them deception. So we have to learn to fight ourselves. The answer to the first one is jahadatun nafs, fighting yourself. The big battle, the biggest battle you'll ever take part in is the battle against yourself. Fighting yourself to control those desires. Ibn al-Qayyim mentioned knowledge helps. Knowledge of Jannah, Jahannam, knowledge about Allah's names and attributes. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَىٰ. Whoever is scared of standing in front of his Lord or scared of his Lord's status and he prevents his soul from what it desires, Jannah will be his destination. So now we understood that fighting the nafs with knowledge, fighting the nafs, just battling, trying again, istighfar, falling down, getting back up, falling down, getting back up. And then the shaitan's going to come along and now you've got to do the second biggest battle you'll ever take part in your life. That is mujahadatu shaitan, fighting against the shaitan. He's telling you to change. He's kindling your desires. وَلَأُمَنِّيَنَّهُمْ. I'm going to light a fire under their desires. I'm going to make them crave all those things. Again, knowledge can help. Seeking refuge with Allah can help. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. الْوَسْوَاسِ الْخَنَّاسِ. He whispers and runs away. Likewise, to bear in mind the evil of shayateen al-ins. Because don't think it's only shaitan in the jinn. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَا لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ عَدُوًّا شَيَاطِينَ الْإِنسِ وَالْجِنِّ يُوحِي بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ زُخْرُفَ الْقَوْلِ غُرُورًا. Shaitan from the men, shaitan from the jinn. Sometimes not shaitan from the jinn. Sometimes shaitan from the jinn has run away. But what is left is shaitan from the men. And this brings to the topic of bad friends. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّمَا مَثَلُ الْجَلِيسُ الصَّالِحِ وَجَلِيسِ السُّوءِ كَحَامِلِ الْمِسْكِ وَنَافِخِ الْكِيرِ. فحامل المسك إما أن يحذيك وإما أن تبتاع منه وإما أن تجد منه ريحا طيبة ونافخ الكير إما أن يحرق ثيابك وإما أن تجد منه ريحا منتنة. The example of a good friend and a bad friend is like the example of a perfume seller and the one who blows in the blacksmith's furnace. The perfume seller, three situations. Either he gives you perfume for free, takes the perfume out and gives you for free. Or either you buy it from him, or either you just smell nice by being around him. And that's the example of the friend who benefits you, but you don't really benefit them. And you're kind of like still struggling, but he's helping you. So you got a good friend who's giving you, but you're not really giving them. So it's like a gift. And then you've got the exchange where you help them and they help you. So it's like buying from them. And then you've got the situation where it's not like you're directly involved, but just being around them gives you a nice smell. And the blacksmith's furnace, the blower in the bellows, they call them. either will burn your clothes or either will make you smell terrible. So either he'll put you into sin, or either he will just make you get a bad reputation for just being around bad people. Pressure from the society wants you to redefine. That pressure from the society, look at what it is. Abu Talib, when he died, he was dying. The Prophet ﷺ said, Ay am, قل لا إله إلا الله كلمة أحاج لك بها عند الله. He said, my uncle, say La ilaha illallah, a word I will argue your case in front of Allah. Abu Jahl and Abdullah ibn Abi Umayyah said, Ya Aba Talib, ترغب عن ملة عبد المطلب. Are you going to leave the religion of Abdul Muttalib? Look at the pressure. He's dying. What does it matter if you leave the religion now? You're going to die. And he knows Islam is the truth. But out of his reputation in the society, he said, على ملة عبد المطلب. I die upon the religion of Abdul Muttalib. Pressure from the society. Role models. Who are you looking up to? Wallahi, there's nothing that makes me more sad. Wallahi al-azim. I'm not even sad from the shayateen of the kuffar. That makes me sad like when I see a bad Muslim role model who is presenting themselves as someone with some knowledge or guidance or nasiha for you. And especially with regard to the sisters. Wallahi, there's some of the people that these sisters are coming on videos making videos. The heart, yani, you just don't know what to do. You feel just so upset. See someone coming on a video talking about the Prophet ﷺ, and then doing all kinds of haram, doing all kinds of fahisha, and telling the sisters that this came from Islam or that Islam doesn't stop you from doing this, and shubuhat and shahawat. You see how the two come together? She put a shubha in your head by telling you that, oh, there's a hadith, you thought this was a hadith, didn't you? Someone told you wrong, this is not true. And then she's saying, but this, you listen to anyone anymore, you don't have to obey anyone anymore, you don't have to do anything good anymore, you can just live your life. So the shubha and the desires come together. Role models are very important. رَبَّنَا إِنَّا أَطَعْنَا سَادَتَنَا وَكُبَرَاءَنَا فَأَضَلُّونَ السَّبِيلَ. We followed the leaders and the big people in society, and these people misguided us from the path. Subhanallah. Who do we have as role models? Our kids today. They know sports players, they know film stars, they know whatever it is, they know influencers, they know whatever, more than they know the Sahaba. Subhanallah. Depending, some of them, the more less practicing, and you get like and whatever, like you get music, whatever, you call them artists and this and that. And then even others, you get influencers and, famous celebrities. But their role models are not the Prophet ﷺ, it's not the Sahaba, it's not the Imams of Islam. The role models, sadly, are these people. So this redefines how you see your religion. Because your desire craves to copy those people. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-mar'u ma'a man ahab. A person is with the one that they love. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرِ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. You have in the Messenger of Allah the most excellent example for those people who hope in Allah, the last day, and remember Allah a lot. My brothers and sisters, this requires, as we said in summary, knowledge and action, right? Knowledge of our deed, putting it into practice. It requires us to be aware of the dangers. As Hudayfa radiallahu anhu said, كان الناس يسألون رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الخير وكنت أسأله عن الشر مخافة أن يدركني. He said the people used to ask the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about good, and I used to ask him about evil out of a fear that it have to be aware of what's going on. Kids, if you're a parent, you have to know what's going on. You have to be aware of where the dangers lie in the shubuhat and the shahawat. You have to be aware of friends and environment and role models. Aware of the shaitan lighting the fire of the desires. And you have to be aware of people get absorbing false ideas. In conclusion, my brothers and sisters, wallahi, I've dealt with some really horrible cases, wallahi. Things that I wish I'd never saw and I wish I'd never. Young kids leaving Islam. We think it's an issue, wallahi, it's a huge issue. It's a huge issue. Young kids leaving Islam. I've dealt with young kids. I'm not far away. I'm talking about kids, Arabic-speaking kids, Arab backgrounds, kids from religious families. And in all honesty, is these two things combined. Shubuhat combined with shahwat. Dealt with people from this place in leaving the religion of Islam. People going so far away from Islam that they are redefining what Islam means so much, Islam doesn't have it. They're attacking across the board, our young people, our sisters, brothers. This is now the time to get the knowledge. And reality is you can't live in this society unless you have the knowledge to be able to resist desires or confusion. And you have the taqwa and the closeness to Allah and the strength of your deen to be able to go away from these temptations. And you have a reason for being here which is justified in Sharia. These are the three things to live in. Knowledge by which you can overcome this confusion. And the strength of action by which you can overcome the desire. And having a reason for being here which is somewhat acceptable within the Sharia. Maslaha rajiha mu'tabara Sharia al-Islam. Benefit which is recognized in Islam. Otherwise a person has to think about the danger they put themselves and their children into. So I think that this is for us to pause. That's what Allah made easy for me to mention tonight. And Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. I just want to once again extend my thanks to all of you, Jazakumullah khairan, for your patience, for your questions, for your excellent listening. And I also want to thank, as always, Bukhari Center. It's much appreciated all the time. Great job. We're here again. You want to say, Sheikh, tell them a bit about the program, inshallah? Be nice. So we have a program, guys, and if you can, we don't do it all the time, so try to make the effort to come, inshallah.
Beloved brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh once again. So tomorrow, inshallah, the program, the way it's going to be is the part between diseases and the cure. So based on the teachings of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, tomorrow, Friday, January 30th, and Saturday, January 31st at 7 p.m. inshallah. 7 p.m. the program is going to start. So that's going to be the program open to brothers and sisters here at Bukhari Center and Masjid. And also we have refreshments as well too for the brothers. So that's always good news. So we have some refreshments. Everyone can go home happy, at least something in their stomach. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless all of you and your families. I'm sure the sisters already helped themselves. There's a kitchen there, which they rightfully deserve in their section. Very accommodating, Bukhari Center and Masjid. And we thank also Sheikh Muhammad Tim Humble. This is his home every time he comes. Naam. And this is his second home every time he comes. And we truly love him for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here at Bukhari Center and Masjid. And it's always an honor hosting the Sheikh himself. And we'll continue to do many more programs with him. And we thank you, brothers and sisters, for also coming. Inshallah, we see you tomorrow and on Saturday. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.